comfort didn't transform you to losing in excess of 200 pounds.
Nope.
And going on a 5-year journey. There's no comfort in that at all. I mean, it's a lot, but it's mindset. It's embracing those tough days, and no matter what's going wrong, continuing to go and still getting up, going to work, still taking care of your family. But the other thing that you did, and I think it's important that we all do, you have to focus on yourself and find, and like we say, an hour and a half a day, you get up, you go for a 45-minute walk, you get your workout in. You're giving yourself an hour and a half a day.
He goes, the difference between someone like that, which is most people, and someone like yourself who can go through that, is you can delay that immediate gratification for long periods of time and focus in on the future self that you know will thank you for making the right decisions today. I mean, it's an inspirational self-help book on how someone could go and lose, 200 pounds and transform. So not just so one of the things, I did not use Ozempic or any of those GLP-1, agonist medications. I did not do gastric bypass, didn't use any, artificial means of any kind. And I just basically went and learned about human nutrition, and I learned about how to move my body properly and how to create a situation in where my body could heal and lose, and actually went from a size 62-inch waist down to a 34. And I'm still on the journey. I'm still going to finish it up April 12th of 2025. I plan on stepping on the bodybuilding stage to put the cherry on top of that story and kind of finish it up. And I think part of the reason why I like hanging around those guys is I feel like I got in the right room. If you're the best at something in the room, you're in the wrong room, right? So you want to be kind of like the worst. So I'm kind of the worst of those guys. So they're going to help me level up. So I'm enjoying a lot of the time that I'm spending there. I'm actually going to be going and putting in the reps on Saturday with Nate. And he's going to be a future guest, actually. We just confirmed that. He's going to come and talk about...
That's next level. That's really cool.
And we did confirm that we're going to talk to some of these other greats, too. So stay tuned for that.
Oh, there's a lot of great things coming. You and I have already talked about it. There's some really great guests coming up. We've confirmed that we're doing some interviews over the next couple weeks. But today's just a great day to get in here, Bob, because we've been looking at our... you and I have talked about a lot, the great interaction from the fan base for Apex Lifestyles on YouTube and on Instagram. And there's a lot of great questions that are asked by our viewers.
Yeah, even through our website. People have been emailing us different questions about different guests, about different things, about Apex Lifestyles, about all those things. And I kind of think, you and I discussed it. I think we wanted to sit down and kind of go through some of those questions.
Absolutely.
And answer some of them. And I think it'll be a fun road. Some of these questions are amazing. And welcome to the Apex Lifestyles Podcast. I'm your host, Bob G. DMD, and I'm here as always with my co-host,
Dennis V. How are you today, Bob?
I'm fantastic, man.
You should be fantastic. You were doing it this past week, and you had a great day out in Boston. Talk about it.
We did, yeah. Actually, I was out at the NPC New England Championships, Amateur Bodybuilding Championships, and we saw some great competitors out there, some incredible athletes. I was able to hang around with some bodybuilding greats. Massachusetts' own Jay Cutler, 4-time Mr. Olympia. I was hanging around with him.
Don't get bigger than that.
No. And then we had Nate Telow, the IFBB professional bodybuilder. My coach was in the crew. And then we also had Jose Raymond, who won the Arnold Classic back in 2015. Placed at the Olympia as high as number 2 a couple times, I do believe, and he's going to be working with someone we know very closely, getting her ready for the stage. So,
what's interesting, you're on your journey right now for something really cool getting ready to happen, and you're around individuals that have really achieved greatness. And how inspiring was that for you?
It's unbelievable. You gave me a lot of, really a lot of inspiration and motivation to do better and get better. I think part of the reason why I like hanging around those guys is I feel like I got in the right room. If you're the best at something in the room, you're in the wrong room, right? So you want to be kind of like the worst. So I'm kind of the worst of those guys. So they're going to help me level up. I'm enjoying a lot of the time that I'm spending there. I'm actually going to be going and putting in the reps on Saturday with Nate. He's going to be a feature guest, actually. We just confirmed that. He's going to come and talk about...
That's next level. That's
so
really
it'll be cool. And we did confirm that we're going to talk to some of these other greats, too. So stay tuned for that.
Oh, there's a lot of great things coming. You and I have already talked about it. There's some really great guests coming up. We've confirmed that we're doing some interviews over the next couple of weeks. But today's just a great day to get in here, Bob, because we've been looking at our... you and I have talked about a lot, the great interaction from the fan base for Apex Lifestyles on YouTube and in Instagram. And there's a lot of great questions that are asked by our viewers.
Yeah, even through our website. You know, people have been emailing us different questions about different guests, about different things, about Apex Lifestyles, about all those things. And I kind of think, you know, you and I discussed it. I think we wanted to sit down and kind of go through some of those questions.
Absolutely.
And answer some of them. And I think it'll be a fun road. Some of these questions are amazing. We just pulled these questions right out from either comments on the YouTube channel, in our Instagram, people who commented things, asking questions, and we've received direct emails right through our website, which you can get on our website. It's www.apexlifestyles1.com.
Yep.
And there's a form right in there to get in contact with us. And if you're on if you want to get on a podcast, you have something interesting to share, you think you're going to be a good guest, certainly reach out, give us a call. And vice versa, you think we might have something to share on your show, reach out and we can maybe make something happen. But
well, let's make this happen. You ready?
I'm ready. Let's go.
Bob, I just pulled it up. Emily R. has a great question for you. Bob, in one of your past episodes, you mentioned a pivotal moment that changed the direction of your life and helped the ideation of Apex Lifestyles. You are the brainchild to this, Bob. Can you share more about that experience and how it's shaped your journey?
Yeah, that's a really awesome question.
Great question.
So I went through a personal change, personal transformation that started probably, I guess, 5 years ago now. And we actually wrote a book.
Yeah.
And it answers a lot of those questions. That book is imminently being released. And so it's available for pre-purchase, actually, pre-sale right on our website. So if you
get your copy.
Get your copy pre-sale, and you get yourself a little deal. And actually, Dennis and I will personalize it and sign it before we send it out if you purchase it on our website.
Bob, what's the date? What are we going to do for the date?
I think it's going to be January 15th.
That's the day. Get people ready. They New Year's resolutions. There's a lot of things that are spoken about in the book that are applicable to individual's journey in fitness.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, it's an inspirational self-help book on how someone could go and lose, 200 pounds and transform. So not just one of the things, I did not use Ozempic or any of those GLP-1, agonist medications. I did not do gastric bypass. Didn't use any, artificial means of any kind. And I just basically went and learned about human nutrition, and I learned about how to move my body properly and how to create a situation in where my body could heal and lose, and actually went from a size 62-inch waist down to a 34. And I'm still on the journey. I'm still going to finish it up April 12th of 2025. I plan on stepping on the bodybuilding stage to put the cherry on top of that story and kind of finish it up. It's a once and done for me, I think, but I want to be able to bucket list that and say, yep, I was able to get up and do it. So one of the things is, after a bunch of years of trying to transform and living a life that was not necessarily at my apex, right? And living in a way that I thought other people wanted me to live, I finally figured it out. And I went in and I joined a transformation challenge that was put on by Nita Strauss, the guitar player for Alice Cooper and Demi Lovato. She also has her own, does her own music. But, I'm a guitar player, as we know, and I'm a rock fan. And one of my good friends, they suggested that I join the challenge, and I did. And after, 5 iterations of that challenge, I finally came away with a victory. And it's almost like that kind of gave me the tip-off, or the nod, so to speak, to start the Apex Lifestyles brand and podcast. And the idea was to help inspire others to live the life that they choose to live.
Well, one of the things being around you, I've known you for about 10 years, Bob, and the last year we've really done quite a bit, is your vocabulary, I've never heard the word quit. And you had multiple opportunities along the way to just pack it in. And, 5 years to get where you're at right now and where you were, that's quite a climb.
Yeah.
But you're not just happy with the transformation. You're just your mindset's changed, and you keep finding other things that make you happy and discovering things. Why is that happening?
Yeah, it's interesting. So one of the things that I think in the past, you grow up and society around you, whether you call it, the societal superconscious or the zeitgeist, whatever word you want to use for it, your upbringing, the people around you, all those things, they kind of put a narrative in your subconscious that you're supposed to do something a certain way, right? And I did that for a lot of years. And I ended up going down a path that did not make me happy. Following, the prescription, so to speak, of society, I followed it, and I was not living my true self. And, going through that transformation and losing that weight, I ended up having a confidence that I had never really experienced at the end of it. And that allowed me to step out of my comfort zone and say, you know what, I really do want to do things that are creative. I went to music school before I went to dental school, and I played in a rock band, had long hair, did all those, I played guitar, and I kind of let that all go. I let it be, left it behind me, and played the role of a dentist, provider, person, father, husband, and all those things. And living that life was not as fulfilling. Being a dad was very fulfilling. Being a husband necessarily wasn't. Being a business owner of multiple locations and all that stuff really wasn't. But doing the work that you and I have been doing together has been unbelievably fulfilling. And I don't think I would have been able to get there had I not had the confidence to be able to step out and do something outside my comfort zone.
So if you're not happy with yourself, it's at the end of the day, it's going to be very difficult to reach things that are fulfilling for you.
Yeah, for sure. 100%. And, making sure that you're only on this rock once, man. Make the best of it and create what it is that you want it to be. At the end of the day, I'm no different than anybody else. I just, one of our early guests, Parrish Smith of EPMD, came in. He's like, what makes you different than anyone else? The fact is, you guys just went out and did it. He's not wrong.
Well, it's one of the things you and I, we talk about, I get an idea, you have an idea, and we try it. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. But we don't, I think that, we've talked about some obstacles that we've dealt with. And at this point in time, what do you have to lose? Go for it, make it happen. And that's what we're doing.
Yeah, one of the things I tell my kids and my, the people who I coach and all those things is, fail fast and fail often, right? And you've talked about how, Michael Jordan, you always hear about how many baskets he's made, but you don't hear about how many he didn't, right? So you got to be okay with failing. And actually, I embrace that because that just teaches me I'm one step closer, right, to where I wanted to go. And one of the things that I was thinking about this, and I was talking to one of my team members today, and they asked me the question, they're like, what do you subscribe your success to? I said, you know what? I'm faster than everyone else. And she looked at me, and you could tell she was kind of perplexed, right? Because I'm not necessarily the fastest runner or anything. I said, no, I make decisions faster than anyone else, right? So if another company is going out and in committee trying to figure out if they're going to do something, I've already done it, made 3 mistakes, and I know the fastest way to get there, and I'm already on it, right? So that's one of the things that I'm not afraid to try it and fail. And I think you and I share that.
100%, which kind of leads us into, I know you have a question for me that it really ties in there.
Yeah, so Michael T. writes, Dennis, you faced numerous challenges in your career. What is the toughest obstacle you had to overcome, and how did it impact your perspective on life and your career?
I think when I started doing some of the projects that I do, developing trust in people before I really got to know them, whether it's in a project or, I think I've always been very trusting of people. And when things didn't go the way that they should have, I really took it hard, and I thought that it was something personally. But walking through the industry the first time, I mean, I think the first thing you have to do is you got to embrace your mistakes. You don't beat yourself up. And I tend to be my worst critic. If somebody's going to come at me and tell me, I know that times 10. So embracing those challenges and those mistakes is an opportunity for growth has been the best thing that could happen.
That's really interesting. And I have a follow-up to that. Like, this industry is kind of show business adjacent, right? Mm-hmm. Like writing books, like you write books for many celebrities. You've helped them write books, yeah. Right? You've written children's books. You've worked on movie scripts. You've done lots of different things. Mm-hmm. Now we have this podcast. You had podcasted before, right? And now we're doing this, and it's one of the things I wanted to like dig in. How did you find working with celebrity and navigating the way through that kind of show business?
I think the thing is don't change who you are as an individual. Be genuine and get to know people. I've been in education for years, and I always say the key to success in working with students is building connections with them and being your genuine self. People can pick up pretty quickly if you're not being yourself. Now, when you're interacting with individuals that, influencers, celebrities that have a pretty large platform, it can be pretty difficult sometimes in a sense where they have so many people trying to work and connect with them that they may not get back to you as quickly as you want them to get back to you, but you just have to be consistent and persistent and try to make it happen. Just like you and I have, Bob, with the podcast. I mean, we started the podcast off, you came up with an idea, we put the cameras up, got going, yeah. But then we really worked hard to get our guests in, and now it's happening.
Remember the first episode?
Oh, yeah.
Right? It was just you and I in here spitting kind of like we were doing, and I look back at it, and we were both stiff, yeah. Right? We had the audio in two separate places, and I was fighting with myself, and I think we talked about it. Should I take that down because it's a little embarrassing or whatever because it wasn't the best? But the fact of the matter is, it's part of what our history.
It shows growth.
It does, yeah. Right? It's kind of fun to go watch it back and kind of cringe a little bit, but yeah, it's pretty interesting.
It's a measuring stick. It's almost like when you do the transformation challenge, you have your first photo that you take, and that's our first photo.
Oof, first photo, man.
Yeah, but that photo, it says, say you're having a day, and we put up a video, and there's something we, because you and I are both very equally critical and make changes. But then you're like, all right, this is what we have to tweak. This is where we are. This is how far we've come. And then we always talk about how we're going to get to the next level. And that's how it happens. And in just like this, being respectful. I think if you're respectful, you're genuine. And I think the other side is don't count the no's.
Yeah.
Don't count the no's. Just count.
Or even the yeses are worth the no's.
Absolutely.
Right?
Because, I mean,
you're not going to get to the yeses until you weed through all the no's, right?
No, initially it can take a lot of no's, but then when it happens, and then you're going to have times where it's going really well, and then just like anything else, and then it gets a little slow, but you keep moving. And I think the thing that really works well for us is we have a brand here, and we're doing a lot of different things. And there's, we just talked about something, and we can't share something else. But we have some pretty big meetings coming up. So we have a project that's going to blow you out of the water, that's going to come to fruition. But we just continue to keep things going. And when that happens, things become contagious. So
yeah, and I think, just keep moving forward, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Bob, James K. Bob, how do you balance maintaining the authenticity of Apex Lifestyles brand while also adapting to the ever-changing digital landscape?
That's a really good question that I don't have a good answer for. Like, that's incredible. Who thought of that question? To be perfectly honest, and I mean, I'm going to be a little bit vulnerable, I guess. I don't know anything about the ever-changing landscape at all. Like I didn't even, back in, I guess it was not even a year ago, I sent a picture to Dennis on my, I took a text and I sent it to him of a bunch of microphones at the checkout at Guitar Center. And he's like, okay, I guess we're going to do this. Right. And I didn't even know what cameras to get. I don't know any of that. Nothing. Right. So I guess I just kind of learn as I go. And then I put together, and I can only really speak to my personal like Instagram account or, even my dental office accounts. I try to put together content that I would want to consume, right? And I figure I'm kind of going to just do that, and I'll attract people who will resonate with that, right? And then with Apex Lifestyles, you and I come together and we figure out who do we think. We pull out our Rolodex, figuratively anyway, and we say who kind of fits, And then again, like when we were at things like when I was at these NPC New England Championships, I was networking, and I've been in rooms where you're networking with everybody, and that's how we kind of figure out what's going on there. And I think one of the things too is I educate myself. Like a lot of times, so 75 Hard is something that Dennis and I have both done. And we one of the tenets of that is you have to read a self-help book every night, 10 pages of it during that 75 days. And we'll talk about, I think we should probably talk about 75 Hard at some point.
100%.
But how many times did I send you a picture of my nonfiction book, which was like learning Pro Tools for dummies, like
that was yours when I was going through it. Yeah.
Right. And then, or like learning how to use Premiere Pro, or learning how to do, photography or podcasting. So it's a lot of going out there and educating myself and taking the time and putting in the time to invest in my own knowledge base and understanding how do we reach the people that we're trying to reach in the best possible way. And I think in today's world, the most valuable asset is attention, right? I don't think it's dollars or gold or, any other kind of asset or real estate necessarily. I think it's attention. And I think that Google knows that. I think YouTube knows that. Meta knows that. All these companies know that because, the amount of social media consumption that's out there is just enormous. And that influencer economy is just enormous. So I think to answer, I don't know if I answered that question right, but to me, it's about educating myself on the landscape. And to be quite frank, like, a year ago, I had an Instagram account that had like 12 followers, and now I'm approaching 12,000. And in less than a year ago, we had a YouTube channel that had no followers,
0.
Now we're at 160,000. So I mean, I think really what it is just making sure that we're making content that resonates with the people that are like us, and then educating ourselves on how these platforms work, and then how do we get that message out there, and just trying a bunch of different formats and seeing what works, and we test it. And that's something that I don't want to get into too much of the weeds, but we A/B test a lot. So I have different accounts that nobody knows about that I actually test pieces on to see if they work, and once I've tested this version versus that version, that's the one we go with. So we put a lot of effort and energy into understanding what is going to resonate before we actually deploy it.
Absolutely. That's great. That's great.
So now it's my turn to ask Dennis one, because we have this list of things. All right. Olivia M. Dennis, if you could go back and give yourself this, she's turning this back on you, man.
Love it.
Yeah, Dennis, if you could go back and give your younger self one piece of advice, what would it be and why? She's copied your question, man.
I'm sure she did.
Yeah, right.
I've asked that enough to people, and I do like that. I'm going to go with two. First one, I'm going to go to something that you mentioned: seek help when needed. And you just started talking about that. One of the things you're doing is you do all this technical, digital stuff with putting the podcast together. and you didn't have all the answers, but you go and find them out. I think, as we grow up as professionals, we always want to look like we have the answers. And there's nothing wrong with not having the right answer. But when you don't have that answer, you got to go out and get it. And that's something that I think that you and I have.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
But when you're younger, it's something that if you don't know it, you think it's a mistake that can be critical to your future success. And you just got to humble yourselves. The other thing, live in the moment. Life moves so quickly. Embrace any and all opportunities that come forward. Sometimes just be still. Enjoy the moment. Be mindful and embrace what's in front of you and live your life to the fullest. So just really enjoy life.
So true, man. Like that's something that I try to embrace myself, a lot. I when we were out in Vegas, right? A few weeks back, hanging out with Capadonna, Wu-Tang, and all these guys, you and I had a few minutes, maybe half a day or so, and I'm like, let's go race cars, man. Like and that was the coolest thing, and I just try to embrace, any opportunity. Like I said before, you're only on this rock once.
And we got to forget about, the stressors of life, work, challenges, and for that half an hour, you live in the moment, something you remember forever.
Yeah, right? I mean, what was that like, whipping around the corner and then hitting the gas in your Lambo?
When I was going about 50 and the driver's like, come on, dude, you got to pick it up. I didn't feel great, but then when I started to creep over 100, it felt really, really good. And
it was fun, right?
Trusting myself and then knowing that somebody was with me with a break.
And trusting the machine, too.
Yeah.
It's not like driving your car out on the street, It's a whole different ballgame.
It's insane. Bob, what are some of your future goals with Apex Lifestyles?
Oh, that's a loaded question. Yeah, we have big plans, man.
Huge plans.
Huge plans. So, like, the whole idea is to empower people and inspire people to live the life that they choose to live and not hide behind or not try to conform to what society thinks you need to be, right? Just go out and get it. And with that, we have the Apex Lifestyles brand. We have actually this really cool T-shirts on, right? The back I can show you, but they're going to go up on our website soon. We have hoodies, we got T-shirts, we got books, we got. I almost dropped it. I'm not going to say it. We have another really big project coming out. We have a challenge going on. We have the Becoming Undeniable Transformation Challenge, where we have a Facebook community that's got a very robust group of people in there cheering each other on, and the winner of that is going to win a $25,000 makeover, smile makeover by myself and our team, and then we're going to get a personal training session in at a club that's a private club with professional bodybuilders teaching us how to do it the right way, and so that's just what we're doing now. What we're doing, we're going to be building that challenge into something that we'd like to have it be worldwide. So this is kind of our beta test and making sure that we're getting all of our ducks in a row and everything ironed out. So we're going to do that. We have, like I said, the book is being released January 15th, right? And it's written, it's ready. It's basically in print, but we're not releasing it until January 15th. So we're hoping that is another vehicle. We're also we have plans for moving the location at some point, right? And in a location where we can have events. So we can have Apex Lifestyles TED Talk type events where we bring in incredible speakers, right? And have whole weekend events where, we can teach people to become undeniable and embrace their true selves. So we have, the sky's the limit, really. And I'm having a blast doing it, and I couldn't think of a better person to be doing it with. And I feel like the sky's the limit.
It's moving, and like I said, you and I talk daily, multiple times, text, and we just make sure that we put everything on the table, and that's how you build. And it's exciting to see it. Everything that you share, it's that much more exciting to see the unexpected that's going to happen.
Yeah.
that will happen.
Yeah, the funny thing is, it's way beyond what I already thought. Do you remember when we started? And I think you and I were we were basically just doing ideation of what the podcast was going to look like. And I'm like, yeah, I would love to have like, what did I even
100,000.
say? 100,000 by December,
year.
right? Or in a year. And you were just like, wow, that's a pretty big, tall order. And I think we did that in 4 months.
Yeah, but I think because we're both working at a pace, we really did a lot of legwork and just there's
sold a lot of candy bars, man.
It's a lot of candy bars. There's no stop.
Yeah.
Any final message you want to send out to the listeners?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. We're missing one question here though, and I think it's pretty good. I think you got to go back.
Which one?
Ava S. asked Dennis, how do you stay motivated and inspired, especially during the tough times? And are there specific routines or practices you follow?
Number one, acknowledge the challenges. You have to acknowledge a challenge now that it exists, that it's actually happening, and don't look over it. Maintain a positive mindset. Having a positive mindset, I always believe in negatives. When you're negative in a situation, it's just negative energy that's going to drain the life out of you. So when you remain positive things are going to happen, and just don't give up. In life, I mean, you're going to have setbacks. I've had several setbacks in life. Don't let the setbacks define you. Focus on what's actually happening. And I can look back at all the shots I've missed in my life, and that would be a lot of heartache. But when you actually look at the things that happen,
the progress, yeah. I think I was down a few weeks ago, right? We had some stuff happen. I was down a little bit, and you're like, look, let's take an inventory.
Absolutely.
Like of what we've done so far, right? And just having that chat. We were supposed to record, something didn't happen right, or a guest couldn't make it. Oh, it was the technical difficulty we had with a guest. That's what it was. And we couldn't get the remote to work, right? And I was just feeling down, like, we got to get some content, this and that. You're like, let's just step back and take an inventory and look at what we've accomplished already, and focus in on that. And you were able to like kind of redirect my thought process and get me back on track, which was indispensable, like it was great.
Well, I mean, myself, I'm an anxious individual as it is. And I know when I start harping on the negatives, it's not a great feeling. So I know if I can try to keep my mind clear, keep going and focusing on, and believe me, in the moment when we have a technical difficulty and nothing's happening, complaining, getting mad, getting upset,
doesn't do anything.
Nothing's going to happen.
Yeah.
But we focus on what we can do, and what we could do is fix it.
Yep.
Reset the date, and come up with 10 other ideas in the interim. It
ended up being a really good session at the end.
100%.
Because we put in some back work that we needed to do anyway, right? And I just want to kind of expand upon your answer a little bit. So Jocko Willig, I follow quite a bit, right? And he was saying that whenever there was an obstacle and one of his guys would come to him and say, hey, Jocko, this is what's going on, he'd say, good. Right? Because now he knows what the obstacle is, and he knows that that's actually going to get him closer to where he needs to go. And if you read Ryan Holiday, he talks about the obstacle is the way. And, you got to go through the hard to harden yourself to get to that next level. So I think embracing the obstacle and knowing that this is supposed to happen. Because as humans, we want comfort, but comfort we're not designed to endure comfort. And comfort creates softness and complacency. And when you are put in a situation where you have an obstacle and you have to overcome that, then that's how you grow. And that's how you get to the next level of anything you're doing.
Well, let's talk about the foundation of this whole podcast. Comfort didn't transform you to losing in excess of 200 pounds.
Nope.
And going on a 5-year journey. There's no comfort in that at all. I mean,
nope.
It's a lot, but it's mindset. It's embracing those tough days, and no matter what's going wrong, continuing to go and still getting up, going to work, still taking care of your family. But the other thing that you did, and I think it's important that we all do, you have to focus on yourself and find, and like we say, an hour and a half a day, you get up, you go for a 45-minute walk, you get your workout in. You're giving yourself an hour and a half a day. It's a great day, a great way to start your day, and take care of yourself.
Yeah, no kidding. And it's like that thing when you're on the plane, they say, if you lost cabin pressure, you put the mask on yourself first so that you can be there and physically able to help somebody else. And that's super important. For me, one of the things so funny, yesterday, my personal pediatrician when I was a kid, and my kid's pediatrician was in here, and getting treatment done. And it's really, he's retired now, and he was talking, he read, the first children's book that we put out, Bobby and Dr. G's Secret Map to the Mountaintop, which is about childhood obesity. It was actually an interesting book. It's about me meeting my inner child and reparenting that inner child around, childhood obesity. It's kind of a really interesting read for a young person to wrap their head around that. But needless to say, he was talking about, we had a very in-depth conversation about obesity and the obesity crisis in the United States and in particular. And, he was talking about, he goes, the thing, because we were talking about GLP-1s and where do they fit in, especially with kids, and because he's a pediatrician. And he said, most people are really about the immediate gratification, the immediate dopamine hit. He goes, the difference between someone like that, which is most people, and someone like yourself who can go through that, is you can delay that immediate gratification for long periods of time and focus in on the future self that will thank you for making the right decisions today. And that was the key for me.
That's powerful.
That was the key for me, right? And he's the one who basically took that and put words to that, right? I think I always innately knew that, but I never was able to articulate that in such a graceful, succinct way, but yeah. Sometimes
when people looking on the outside looking in, they can give you a clear picture of something you may not see.
Well, he knew me as a child and as an adult, so it's really an interesting thing.
He watched the evolution of you.
He did. So yeah, man, this was pretty cool.
Tremendous. I really appreciate the questions, the depth of the questions by our listeners, and please keep them coming because we're going to do more like this. This is great.
Yeah, this is fun actually. And you know what, Dennis? I think with that, we got some big plans coming.
Huge plans.
Right. We have a book being released. You can order it now. Pre-order right on our website, www.apexlifestyles1.com. Go to books and merch, and you'll be able to get that. You can buy our T-shirts, our sweatshirts. The hoodies are fire, man. Those are fun, right?
Unbelievable. I love Get ready to rock mine tomorrow.
Yeah, right. And you can purchase these, Becoming Undeniable T-shirts. They're really cool. The back, I wish I could show you the back, but they'll be on the website. And with that, seriously, you got the two children's books. One is, about childhood obesity, and one is about depression and divorce in the eyes of a child. And we have another children's book in production now.
It's in production. It's going to keep going.
It's going to keep going. So that Bobby and Dr. G children's book is a series.
It certainly is.
And we're going to keep coming, and the illustrations in it are amazing.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Absolutely unbelievable.
Yeah. So certainly, you can buy those all right through our website. So certainly do that, and throw us a follow. I'm at BobGDMD1 on Instagram, and Dennis is
author Dennis V.
On Instagram. You can follow us also at Apex_Lifestyles1 on Instagram as well. So follow along and keep up with the ride. It's going to be a fun one. We got some fun stuff coming.
More to come.
And with that, Dennis, I think it's, as always.
It's go time. Let's do this, man.
Yeah.